Hi, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of people in the news in North Texas. My guest today is Laura Dillon, candidate for Place 1 on the Mound Council. Thank you for being here, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin by having you tell our viewers something about your background.
All right. Thank you. I have a servant's heart for my entire life and been involved in community service since childhood, whether it's helping people spontaneously or through organizations such as with my daughter's school, through my church, or through community organizations that serve the community at large. And in those organizations that have community leadership with volunteers serving, then frequently I'm being appointed to those positions because of my dedication. I do work full-time, but most weeknights and weekends are filled with volunteer activities. And while most people like to volunteer, they might not have an interest in town government, but I do. And so when the town created the Citizens Academy, I raced to apply for that opportunity because I wanted to learn about the town from behind the scenes, knowing that I had an interest in serving on council. And after the program was completed, we were invited to apply for positions on the boards or the commissions, and I asked to be placed on the Planning and Zoning Commission, knowing that most of the contentious items would funnel up to the council. So I'm running for town council because I want to serve the community at large in a greater scope from a leadership position.
And apparently you've already been serving for quite some time.
Yes.
And being on the P&Z is very often known as the forerunner to the council seat, because you learn a lot on P&Z about the issues that you would be facing as a council member.
Yes.
So as far as that's concerned, what issues do you think are most important to Flower Mound residents?
Well, we hear a lot from the residents about traffic. And
yeah.
you know, traffic seems to be one of those contentious items. But I think while we do have more residents than we have had in the past, it continues to grow. I think also it has to do with perspective. We're all leaving in the morning to get to work and to school and activities all about the same time, and we're all trying to get home for dinner about the same time. I live in the furthest northeastern neighborhood of town in Stonehill Farms, and I'm about 2 miles off of 35E. So for me to get to work, I can avoid FM 2499 and go down 35, but I still have traffic. So if I leave after 6:45 in the morning, it will take me about an hour to get to work. But if I leave about 15 minutes earlier than that, I can cut it down to 30 minutes. So I think that, you know, while we only have this one primary corridor through town with FM 2499, that we're all just going to have patience until we can work with the state to come up with some alternatives for other routes.
Yeah, traffic is a fact of life when especially when you're commuting regularly. Isn't it a good thing that we've had the roads built out the way they have?
Yes.
Some years ago, the traffic was a lot worse. Even though we had less population, we had very little roadway. True. So, do you think that the current council members are adhering to the master plan?
I do, but at times over time we may need to make changes, and that's why we have master plan amendments. I think a great example of that is for the senior overlay. We had a developer that came to town that was interested in building a senior housing development, and they were looking to put it on FM 407 in the commercial area, which was great from a zoning perspective, but it wasn't going to be great for the residents because they were going to be so far from all the retail and hospital and medical area by not being positioned along 2499. So by creating the senior housing overlay, that was a way to amend the master plan so that we could allow for that type of multifamily housing, so that it actually attracted 2 developers to come to town and get approved for some developments.
And there has been a lot of growth in town over the years, certainly many years since I've been here. And we have new districts like Lakeside and,
Yes.
and the Riverwalk. There is a proposal for a TERS in Lakeside District. What do you think about that?
I think it's good to have the TERS for the Lakeside Village areas where it's specifically going to be. And we already have a TERS district for the major retail and commercial corridor. It's primarily concentrated along 2499. But this will be for the businesses that come into Lakeside Village. It's not for the developers. And so that's one misconception that's out there. And this will allow the developers to be able to attract businesses and retail to be able to come in, and so we can quickly grow that up. You know, a lot of people have been frustrated with the timing of the build out of the Riverwalk. And that's where the economic development through the TERS can make that kind of a difference. And any costs that the town would absorb because of administrative fees would all be reimbursed once the TERS is established.
All right, let me go over a few of the propositions that will be on the May 4th ballot, and you can give us your opinion on them.
Okay.
Proposition A basically says that voters should authorize a monthly stipend of $300 for the mayor and $200 for council members.
I agree with this. Just from a volunteer perspective, the Charter Review Commission had evaluated this, and Jody Smith was actually the chair of the commission at that time, and she knows all too well from serving on council the hours that are put in. But more importantly, our town attorney just recently noted at a town council meeting that it's important for our council members and the mayor to be compensated as an employee versus just serving as a volunteer to avoid liability from claims. So that was the reasoning
So
behind
it's basically there are legal ramifications with it.
Yes, sir. And the Charter Review Commission had surveyed neighboring suburbs, and 73% of them were actually already providing some type of compensation.
All right, so Proposition B has to do with removing the requirement that all ordinances adopted by the town be published in the town's official newspaper, which I believe is the Denton Record Chronicle, and such publication costs the town $2,000 a year.
I agree with this change as well. The town, when they publish a notice or an ordinance, it does have to be in a daily paper that's widely circulated, and that was identified as the Denton Record Chronicle. But most Flower Mound residents don't subscribe to that paper. Instead, most residents get their news from local papers such as yours. And so by not having to file, because it's not a state requirement for these types of ordinances, by putting them just on the town's website, then it'll save the town money. And residents can sign up for alerts by email so that they can stay informed of when those notices are being published.
And Proposition C asks voters to remove the requirement that the town budget be filed with various county and state agencies, saving another $700 a year.
Yes, this would save some money as well, but what the Charter Review Commission identified was it's not just about the money, it's that the state and the county do not require these filings. So we're sending our budget to them and they don't have any reason to have it. So they're basically just tossing it.
All right, then Proposition D asks voters to allow transfer of funds between departments without the need for a budget amendment each time, and they said that this just is a way to remove red tape.
Yes, sir, because, you know, there are 5 different budget funds within the town's budget, and this would just allow the town manager to be able to make discretionary changes within one of those budget funds. But if there was a need to move a budget from one budget fund to another, it would still have to go through town council.
Okay, well, that takes care of the propositions, and we're being read by the clock, so I'm just going to thank you very much, Laura, for being here.
Thank you.
And for your service through the years to the town, and good luck in the election.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for watching.